So the connection for me with Stratford East is I grew up in Waltham Forest Borough, which is quite close by. We used to come down here for pantos and the like. And one summer there had been an open audition for school kids to come here. So I was always an aspiring actor. I really enjoyed the acting scene. So I came for that, and that was the connection, and that led to me being cast for this particular summer. And it also had 4 or 5 professional actors as well, which was great to learn from those guys. And we was on stage for 3 nights. So that was my connection ever since then. You know, I pop back with my godson or other people for like a show every now and again and a panto. So that's for me like a childhood connection to the theatre. So it was very much, and I feel still it has a lot of relevance with how things are today. It was about kids that were in like the final year of school, so that inner city, urban school tension that existed, you know, a bit of a class culture, not so much, but more sort of like racial tensions and things like that. And it was perfectly balanced because the writer and the director were, I think the director's name was Martin Johnson. He was a very sort of Kenneth Branagh type without the beard, the typical theatre guy. He had the caftan, he had the boots, he had the look. He was a great guy, really nice guy. But it was like let's say the protagonist, the lead character, was a black guy called Mo who was like looking to become a professional boxer. And he had his own constraints and struggles. The antagonist was the white guy, and so he was kind of like the bad guy. He was perceived as, but when you looked at his backstories, he had like a very challenging upbringing with his father, and that's probably why he was the way he was. So it was a real great story of how, you know, misunderstanding of characters because they might have been a certain way. My character, kid called Francis Woodford, was very much, I suppose, in today's world, you look at him, he was like the Chandler from Friends. He was the fun character. He was the go-to guy because it was quite a serious play. And then, of course, you had the professional actors that played teachers in those situations. And, we just had we came for a open audition. And, of course, back then, no mobile phone. So there was this agony of waiting and then thinking like, well, it's been so many days, I'm probably not getting a phone call. And then I got a phone call to come to table reading where the characters were then cast to your roles. And then we got the scripts and I went home and before I got here to start doing the actual run-throughs and actual, for the actual training sessions and everything else, I was just like constantly reading that. Summer holiday was like, no, I'm not coming out. We're not playing football. I was just embedded in and buried in this script, and I loved it, which I actually had for a number of years. And where I've travelled abroad, I moved, and I just lost the script, unfortunately. There's a few stills and pictures of us on stage together. And so it was 3 nights here at the Theatre Royal, paid audience. And in one of the scenes, the character Mo, the black guy who's the boxer, he kind of forgot his line. And so if that's the stage and I'm here and I've got the sparring gloves and I've realised there's that slight, it's taking too long, and I can't even remember what the line was, but I, again, based on the character, I just improvised and I said to him, what, so you've forgotten how to box all of a sudden, as well as like how to talk to girls? It was something to do with the script. And I thought, oh, crikey. But the whole crowd started laughing. It was like an uproar of laughter. And that made me feel great. But also, because I saw his face starting to go and laugh, I had to turn away a little bit because I'm now thinking, am I going to lose control? So that was a real highlight. But the 3 nights was nice. And of course, when you saw friends and family, like particularly my parents and my best friend were in the crowd, my sister came along, my brother came along, it was just like a magical moment. And it just felt amazing to be on that stage, knowing that you've got a connection to it from your childhood as well. And that here you are, 15. And one of the professional actors was a guy called Ralph, played one of the teachers. And on opening night, he just kind of stopped by and gave me a postcard, again, which I had for years, and moving and everything, it's gone missing. There's a dog leaping into like a canal. And he's like, go for it, kid, you're going to be great. This is meant for you. And I was like, that on opening night just gave me such a boost. And I just felt amazing being on stage. And I felt like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So it was pretty amazing. Oh, that was, again, like to have that experience, particularly on, even when we was doing the run-throughs of the script and you saw members of like the director, the writer and other members of that team just in the stalls there, you just got a sense of it. But on opening night, when you just looked out, and they kind of just told you, look above the crowd if you're looking in that direction, it just felt, euphoric. It was amazing. But actually coming down from the green room when you knew it was your time, you had those kind of like butterflies in your tummy, knowing, please don't forget your lines. And then you step out and you see the grandeur of that theatre and the balconies on the side there. It felt so huge but so intimate at the same time. And the stage set actually, for like what was predominantly like an amateur production with the kids and stuff, even though it was a very good set, like a classroom type set, or the boxing, there was a boxing ring there when Mo was doing his scenes. So it was a good set as well. It wasn't done on the cheap, and it just felt very authentic. And you just felt that you're in that moment, and everything you'd done with the run-throughs and the rehearsals, it just amplified tenfold when he was on stage. It just felt really good, and he felt really connected to the crowd, particularly when the kind of character I had was this who got some laughs throughout it, and you felt that ripple of laughter coming at you. It was like really special. Yeah, so a very fond memory was bringing my godson Rocco with his dad Ben, and there was a few of us that had came to see the panto that year. So we literally had half a row to ourselves there. And I just remember, from an adult perspective, like thinking how it was now for me, and then watching my godson experience that and doing the whole he's behind you thing and the interplay that you have, and just that energy that kids bring to a theatre and the laughter they have. I think it was the Jack and the Beanstalk that was the panto that year, and just seeing the lavish costumes and just feeling that experience from the stage. From the stalls, knowing that you'd been on that stage when you was a kid, just felt really special. And they really enjoyed it, and we had a great time. And obviously the adults were always at the bar most of the time, but, coming back and forward during the intervals and stuff. But it was just such a beautiful theatre, and it's just got an energy as you walk through it. You get that sense of history to it, and knowing that there's been so many people here that are in the industry that kind of started here or had a big break by being on this stage. And seeing that was a great moment as well. I honestly believe, we look at Stratford now, and you see all the modern infrastructure here. You've got the hotels, you've got the Westfield Shopping Centre, but this has remained iconic, and it's remained as it's always been here. And I think that's really important because it's a generational thing. As I mentioned, I bring my godson here. There's people that bring their grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and have stories to tell from that. So really, I think it is a bedrock of the community to Stratford, and actually the outlying boroughs as well. Like, I'm from Forest, and it was from our school days, trips that would come out here and to pantos or whatever else that they did, we was always aware of it. So whilst it felt local, it also felt very famous to be connected to Stratford theatre. And sort of when you obviously mention it, people immediately think, oh, Stratford as in Shakespeare. And we're like, no, Theatre Royal East. And they love that, like to go, oh yeah, that's... And when they understand the heritage of it and understand what that means to the community and the outreach for kids, and even for adults to come and work and be based here, I think it's very, very, very important indeed. Well, because I've always had a love for theatre. I love film, I love TV, but I really love theatre. It was my first love. I excelled at drama class, and I always wanted to be on a stage and have that experience. And having done that way back when, here at the Theatre Royal, it has that extra special feeling for me. So even when I go to a fancy West End theatre, this place is always sort of in my mind and in my heart, because it was somewhere, I met some amazing people. I found what I knew was already my passion and was able to live that out, only for 3 nights, but even doing the rehearsals and everything, it was like a magical time. That summer for me as a kid was incredible. So this place will always have a special part for me as well. And I always look to, support and come back and see shows and hopefully, one day, if my godson has his own children, we'll bring them along and get them to understand the history of what Theatre Royal is and what it means to the local community as well.